right, so to get started, we're looking at artificial intelligence in modern learning, the natural intelligence dilemma. Now, we know that AI is here to stay, right? Because in the last 2 years, it has gone from, oh, this is interesting, this new technology is over our horizon, to becoming something that is now everywhere at everyone's fingertips. So we no longer are we using it to solve our children's homework or to replace Google, but we are also leveraging it to make very important business decisions, right? So the real risk in our world today, we've had people who say, "Oh, AI is going to take over. This is going to be like Terminator all over." You know, Terminator the movie. This is going to be like that, and oh, maybe humans will become slaves to AI eventually. All right, so that is even not the real risk. It is whether we as leaders, AI is going to replace our ability to think. When we start outsourcing thinking to AI, and so that's what we're going to be looking at, and that's where natural intelligence comes from. Natural intelligence is what you and I are imbued with over the lifespan and our experiences, and much of the people that we have met, the places we have been to, and the books that we have read, which are all, and all of these are knowledge sources. Now, all of these knowledge sources have come together, packaged in what we call AI. Within the AI community, it has been stated that much of the world's knowledge has been captured, and we may be talking effectively something in the 90% range in terms of knowledge capture. Whereas, as individual human beings, when we embark on a journey of learning by ourselves, our sources usually include traditional learning methods of going to a classroom, finding a course, finding a faculty, or finding a library and finding the time to be able to go through these unindexed books of knowledge, with each and every one curating their own repository of knowledge in the form of a library, right? Okay, so that's what we've had to deal with in traditional learning. And so in the next few more minutes, I'm just going to be looking at how all of this is impacting our abilities as responsible leaders, as change leaders, as decision makers, and to be able to also improve our performance leadership, right? So thank you. And that's how I'm going to be getting started. And for starters, I really want to bring something that many of us are familiar with. Many of us, because in this age and time, we are what we would call pop culture, or what we call popular culture centric. It's a popular culture centric word, right? So, natural intelligence has brought us, and with our interaction with AI, to understand three things basically, and those are the three things that I've captured here. That we need to move from knowledge ownership to judgment and sense making. What does that mean? I'm just going to quickly play this video, and I want you to make an observation.
How many in the air?
13, sir.
How many can I carry?
4, sir.
See that guy? I'm gonna swing by. Are you just gonna grab him? You got it? I'll electrify your arm. You won't be able to open your hand. Easy. See? 11 more to go. Nice.
10,000 feet. 6,000 feet.
Come on, people. Yeah!
400 feet. 200 feet, sir.
It's a chunky monkey. Let's get him. Nice work, guys. All right, Jarvis, but it's only half done. We still gotta get back.
Okay, now it is safe and arguable to say that Tony Stark is probably the father of AI. Of course, that's not true, but I'm talking in terms of popular culture, right? Okay, so we see a scenario that I just played here of Tony leveraging Jarvis, the AI he has created, to enhance his production capabilities, to enhance his heroic capabilities, right? Now, there's been a plane crash and 11 people are falling from the sky. And Tony had to quickly leverage AI. And it says, how many people do I have in the air? And Jarvis says, there are 11 people. And Tony says, how many can I carry? And the AI says, you can only carry four. You can only save four people. Tony did not say, "Oh, my AI is correct. This analysis is sacrosanct. It cannot be overridden. This is true. This is the truth," and goes ahead to rescue four people and let the rest perish. He leveraged. He had to make judgment. Had to make a judgment call and say, "Hey, the AI has done what it needs to do. I don't have the time and the luxury to argue with it, but I need to make a quick natural intelligence decision." And improvise. And that's one of the things that human beings we are good for. We are very good at improvising, at looking at things that potentially AI might not see right away. For example, in my use of AI, I've had to ask it for things and it gives me an answer, and I'm like, no, just by looking at the answer, I'm like, no, this is something's off, something's totally wrong here. And then I would give it extra input. And many of you have experienced this. Give it extra input, and sometimes you will find it apologizing to you to let you know that, oh, sorry, I missed this. At other times, I tell it, no, you have to search deeper. There's an additional information out there that contradicts this or that says this is not absolutely true. And that comes out to be, at the end of the day, even true. You can push it further and further and further till you get to the result. So there is always the very key element of making judgment and making sense out of what AI has dished out. So where learning is concerned, maybe you are doing a research work. Maybe you are working on an application. Maybe you are creating a content. Maybe you are a media personality. Maybe you are a storyteller. Maybe you are into filmmaking. Maybe you are a scientist, a lab worker. Maybe you're a doctor. Whatever field, maybe agriculture, whatever field that you find yourself operating in, the first few things that AI throws at you, you have to be cautious because you need to treat AI like an assistant who is learning on the job with you. Yes, it has answers to all of the information, but sometimes context can be a whole game changer. And then currently in our world, like I mentioned earlier on, that we are coming from a background of traditional learning. So traditional learning says, hey, this is course centric. Well, you take this course and you become this. You take this course, you become this. And you can plot a graph of the knowledge that you acquire over time on that trajectory. However, with AI around us, you can move from not just course centric to what we would call a workflow embedded learning, meaning that in the course of your work, you are leveraging AI to learn and also to improve and also to make sure that you are fine tuning and amplifying what you are doing at that point in time. In learning, there is something we call knowledge support, right? And there is an element of knowledge support that we call JIT, just in time, meaning that at the point when you need that knowledge, it becomes available to you right at that point when you need an answer to something. And that is where we are because we are now able to make knowledge to be in the form of micro learning. And micro learning means that I don't have to commit several hours to just learning, but I can pick it up at different moments in the course of an hour, in the course of a minute, in the course of 3 minutes, I can pick up a learning. In another 5 minutes, I can pick up a learning. 1 hour after, in another 2 minutes, in that 1 hour, I can pick up a learning. And this stagger method of learning has a way to as a way of accumulating like raindrops. When the rain starts to fall, it doesn't look like much, but where it gathers on the surface of the earth, it can quickly turn into a flood. And that's the same way with learning, especially when it is workflow embedded. And then from AI as a content machine to AI as a capability amplifier, there's an argument out there that AI makes people to be dumber than they used to be. And that is arguable. We know that the world is filled with school of thought. So potentially, any of these can be true at any single point in time. So, but the thing is, we are now saying, let's not just use it to create content. I've used AI to create a lot of content. I've used AI to create custom courses, custom content, training deliveries, right? And they have been amazing. The results are wonderful. But then they came from painstaking fine tuning of those contents and arguments. Sometimes myself and AI can get lost in the argument, and I have to create multiple projects to start isolating several sections of that course to deal with the not just the breadth of the course, but also the depth, the level of depth of that course. So not just to use it to create content, but to amplify the capability that natural intelligence already has or possesses. But you see, if we don't do that, if we don't have that tete-a-tete, that back and forth, that rigorous mind-shaping argument, imagine arguing with a professor. You know what that would do for you in terms of that brain juggling, that ability to expand your capacity and to create more neurons, more dendrites are being created to create more knowledge points. So that's what AI brings to the table. So we can leverage that to amplify our already existing capability. Many years ago, I'm talking about in the 80s and the 90s, there were a lot of consulting firms. What was consulting? That is people who we outsource the things that we should be doing internally to, right? And then many of these consultants leverage their expertise in the field to create highly robust documents, project plan, and they were highly paying, well-paying jobs. But now it seems like these people are going to be losing their job because the people that you either to used to consult for now have all of that knowledge literally at their fingertip. I mean, we used to draw that in some graphics to show how knowledge can be at your fingertip, and we would place a word, the image of the word, on a hand, and we'll say the word in your hand. Now, literally, we are living in that time right now, where every single individual in the world who has a smartphone has all of the world's knowledge in their hands, right? Or it can become worse truly, as we said, arguably, that it can become a crutch. What is a crutch? That is that if you had an accident of some sort and you had to walk on that crutches, you see that you are not able to perform properly. You find yourself limping in the same way, in the same manner. AI can make you mentally limp if you outsource all of your natural intelligence capabilities to it. And then we'll find a scenario also where because everyone has access to it, what is now going to be that unique selling point that you have as a leader if everything you want to say, all the people you're trying to say them to already know them? Sometimes you are speaking in real time and people are already asking AI the very thing that you're talking about, and they are reading at the palm of their hand. And maybe you throw in a terminology that for some reason you do not remember what it means. Maybe you throw in a phrase that for some reason someone has a question to ask about that phrase or about that terminology, about that concept, or about that diagram. And while one person in your class is asking you, or even in real life at work, in business, or even your offsprings, while they are asking you that question and you are trying to think through it, they are already finding the answer on their phone. And what would be worse is as a knowledge person to not be able to answer the question that you have been asked when they have already found it in the palm of their hand. So it means that that rigorous exercise we should never stop. The same rigorous exercise we had in the 80s, that we did mentally in the 70s, that produced all of these amazing scientists that we have, Isaac Newton, one of the most fantastic of them, and all of these other people, the same rigorous, without AI, they produce what they produce. They found all the things they found, all the string theories, the quantum theories, all of the physics, all of the chemistry, all of the biology, just with natural intelligence without AI support. So how much more can we do today using leveraging AI to support what we have naturally rather than 100% outsourcing?
How many in the air?
Okay. So now, as leaders, what should we do? What should we do in this case? What we should do in this case is ask leverage AI to triage all the tasks that we need to do. Most of the tasks that we need to do, we need to ask ourselves, am I going to automate these tasks because they are repetitive. If it is repetitive, natural intelligence has a high risk of making mistakes. So can we automate it? Okay, do I need to augment? To augment, natural intelligence has the ability to need extra support and needs to do some research. So should we augment? And then avoid. Natural intelligence has the ability to make some mistakes in scenarios that can be fatal. In some scenarios, it is not so fatal. So, but we ask ourselves, so every task in my organization, in my personal life, in my educational journey, which one should I automate? Which one should I augment? Which one should I avoid? And then again, to learn, if I'm going to automate, if I'm going to augment, what are the tools I need to use? And in today's world, it is prompting. The other day, I was trying to create a storyboard. A storyboard, storyboard is used in movie production. I was trying to create a storyboard, and I leveraged a certain AI out there in the wild to enhance my storyboard creation, and it did a fantastic work of not just speedy delivery or speedy output, but now I had to govern all of the frames that it had given. And so at the end of the day, I need to ask myself, in spite of the limitless content that AI can give to me, I also need to define my expectation. So after it had given me everything, I had to now use my expectation to redefine its output. Now, because AI also has some basic assumptions it makes, you have to be careful with it. Sometimes it will generate things outside of the context. But if you are not smart or wise enough to be able to differentiate using natural intelligence, you would take that all out into the world, and that can come back with some reputational damages. So you need to have certain decision guardrails that you set up for your own responsible AI usage. And so, what we have to do is say, hey, I'm going to look at the data that I have. Okay, I'm going to use AI to generate the data, but does this data have any internal bias built into it? Natural intelligence comes in to differentiate this. What about transparency? Can I be able to explain everything that I have captured, that I'm outputting? Can I explain it? I mentioned that earlier, that you don't want the people that you are giving the content to be ahead of you. There's nothing bad in anyone being ahead of you. It's a collaboration world, right? A collaborating world. But nevertheless, we as the experts in the field or in leadership or in business should be ahead of that game by ensuring that you know that data 100%. And then at the end of the day, in terms of accountability, so who do we hold responsible for everything? Ultimately, you will be held responsible for the contents, for the knowledge, for whatever it is that you have put out there, not the AI. AI cannot take blame. AI is just a tool. And so we need to ask ourselves that when I produce this content, when something goes wrong, who will ultimately be responsible for this? It is myself. So I need to put the due diligence to do what is right before putting it out there. And that is what responsible leadership is all about. So as a wrap up for best practices to something that you can implement in the immediate, is you can tell yourself, if you're an organization, if you're a small business, if you're an individual, create a simple AI charter for learning that, hey, this is what I'm going to be using AI for, and I'm going to be using it to generate this, but I'm going to be governing it in terms of choosing, like a marketplace, choosing what I put, the ingredient, the elements I pick to cook whatever it is I want to use it to cook. And then for the people that work with us, we need to be able to also turn them into architects, not just as content police, or not just as laymen, not just as field workers, but whatever it is that they do, when they do it, let them become the architects of those contents. Much like creating a Lego, building a Lego house or a Lego building, or working with Legos. You know what I mean by Legos? Legos. So as you architect whatever it is you are using AI to do, and also to make sure that you are using AI to not just for the content, but as an organization, have how you use it to get your output out, then have how you things that you don't use it for. Have a team responsible to oversee, to approve, to edit, to um, to have a team that convenes and says, hey, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. We're going to use this, we're not going to use this. And then set a no blind copy rule for AI content, meaning that don't let, like I just said, don't let everything go out in there. And then every day improve on your prompt capability, improve on how you engage. In fact, you can have a template that the organization uses organization-wide, but as an individual, over time, it becomes muscle memory for your brain to know exactly what to do in each case as you leverage AI. And that is where I'm going to put pause and let you get back to me.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. James Olorunosebi, for that very wonderful session. And I see that a lot of people have also joined us after the class started. I see James Karagbo from Freetown, Sierra Leone, and Martin Sidbets from the Netherlands. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. James, for that wonderful session. We would have our reflector, Ibukun, join us around, take a reflection of the class that was just done. And but while the reflector will be speaking, please, if you have questions and answers, you can drop them in the question and answer section in the Zoom. Yes, this is Q&A part in the Zoom. Just drop your questions and answer there so that we'll pick it up. And after the reflector is done in the next 5 minutes, we'll be able to read out those questions and have Dr. James answer them. All right, over to you, Ibukun.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. James and everyone here, Mr. Paul. And thank you. It's an honor to be here. So quickly, and congratulations to everyone who is here, because this conversation is generally for everybody. And just like you said, when you started, pretty much like the core values: responsible leadership, change, performance, leadership, decision-making. I mean, I think this conversation covers pretty much everything, because AI is used in every area of human existence pretty much now. So I think that's the first thing we could also pick from this conversation, as Dr. James has said. And so, reflecting on all he has said, this is just going to be a quick summary. The first thing to note is, as a leader, AI is here to be your assistant, and not to outsource your whole thinking process to AI. So it's supposed to help you as a leader to learn on the job, to improve your capabilities and amplify your work. Those are the three key things that Dr. James raised when he talked about AI being an assistant. And another thing is, judgment is key. So when it's your assistant, you understand that you're supposed to sift, you're supposed to analyze what it's giving you and ensure it has the best outcome, because all the information online that AI is using is human knowledge, human intelligence that is just regurgitating, because it has 5 billion, how many billion different ideas across concepts, industries that it can pull from. So your judgment is what would enable you to maximize using AI as your assistant. And so as we understand that, I'll just summarize further with 5 key points. What decision is your company about to use AI for? Think of at least one responsible way you're going to be using AI for to do your tasks. As I said, you can use it for your repetitive tasks so that you can manage time and reduce errors, and then also use it to augment, as just like we said, an assistant. Is it taking on completely repetitive tasks and then augmenting as a collaborator with human intelligence? And I mean, are there aspects you need to completely avoid? So as you make that decision on how you want to maximize AI, then you need to think of constant learning, as he said. So what learning process are you using it for? Particularly when you're thinking of your team members. As a leader, you have team members. So how do you begin to use it as a learning tool on the job in such a way you create processes and systems that your team members too can begin to use, and then it becomes second nature to them. And thirdly, too, how are you thinking of protecting your natural intelligence? I picked it up from what he said. Couple of all the things he has said. How are you protecting your natural intelligence, which is still around making judgment? Are you going to be using it to check the source constantly and ask questions? Like he said, there are biases. Check the source, ask who are the people that will be sidelined from this information if we decide to churn this out, and what are the areas we can correct and ensure that we have robust information, let's say in the case of maybe a media person. And so if you begin to think of what is the habit that we want to use AI for, what leadership habit do I want to be using AI for to improve myself? How? Checking the assumptions, ensuring that there's no bias, and also reflecting on responding. Those are just examples of how you want to use it as a collaborator. And then responsible AI, that's like the most important thing for me that he said, because AI can be used in different ways. How are you deciding to use AI responsibly? Are you focusing or creating at least one principle, the same way your company has core values, excellence, integrity? What core value do you want to use as AI responsibility? Or our core value as regards AI is transparency or fairness, as I said, or accountability. Which one are you picking as your core? So that as you're teaching your team members to learn, to have a learning mindset around using AI, they know that as they are learning and they are trying to ensure that their information is not biased, they know that our core value is fairness, or our core value is transparency. So even if you don't have 100% on the others, you know there's one core value that you would not lose out on. And that would ensure that your team members also are carried along and then act responsibly per time as they continue to use AI. So I believe that in closing, these submissions will help guide next steps for leaders here. And so if you decide to pick whichever of these points that he has raised, the goal is that we move from simply using AI, just using it passively, which makes us become dumb, to intentionally using AI as an assistant and as a collaborator. And we'll see that we become a whole lot better than an average, a supposed excellent leader who is still average because they are not maximizing AI appropriately. So thank you very much.
Yes,
that's
fantastic.
all the submission I have.
Thank you very much, Ibukun, for that wonderful reflection. Thank you very much. So we have two questions. Let me check if we have any in the chat room. Oh, I can see Dr. Ayodeji Mafikuyoni, our last speaker last week. Kuti Olarinwaju from Abuja. All right, so let's go straight to the questions. We have a question from Omolara Akunji. He said, thank you, doctor. Yes, AI is here to stay. Honestly, human weakness comes up strongly with the application of AI. I will advise that we endeavor our big database for decision making. So kindly explain the difference between meta AI and other aspects of AI. Doctor, I don't know if you can help us with that.
Okay, so there's something about human beings that we call personality, and then there's something we call character, and these two they go hand in hand. So it happens that all of the AI that we have a personality, and they have a character. They all don't behave the same way. And one of the ways you can easily test this is to take the exact same prompt on that you impute into any of the AI, maybe ChatGPT, use the exact same prompt, put it in Meta, use the exact same prompt, use it in Gemini, use the exact same prompt, use it in Grok, use the exact same prompt, and any other one that's out there, from Truecaller, from DeepSeek, and the rest of them. Use this same prompt, and you'll see the output of each one of them, and you can see the character of each of these AI, and this character is defined by the guardrails that each organization that owns each technology have put in place. So you would find, so I don't want to come to a decision for you, which one to use, but every time you are researching something, It's like talking to four different physics professors about any topic in physics, and then you are able to get very important salient points from each one of them. They may say the same thing in some places. They may have a different view about an element of the same thing. They may have a little bit focus on a nitty gritty. They may have a little bit more focus on the top level, and you see all these diverse, responses. So I will advise that you go through them and find the one that works for you. If possible, get a subscription on each of them because they are capability amplifiers. Get a subscription on each of them and use all of them and look for the one that your natural intelligence. I'm assuming that you have been around the block a long time. Take, for example, an adult, someone who is in their 40s, 50s, would use AI a little bit more differently than someone who is in their 20s or in their teens. So for those who are much older, because they have a whole barrage of knowledge and governance that they've experienced in their life, they can quiz. But for someone who is much younger, what do they want to quiz it with? They don't have all the experience enough. In fact, what the AI is giving to them is absolutely new. For someone who is much older, what the AI is giving to them is not new at all. It's something they've experienced, they've done, they've thought, they've even given an opinion about. And so for them, it's a different experience. So depending on your age bracket and how much knowledge you have been exposed to, right? Use all of them. There's a saying from one of the ancient knowledge materials that says that there is safety in a multitude of counsel where counsel is advice. So each AI's response is a counsel. So as you go through all of them, there is safety. You'll find the safety net for each one of them. You'll find what you're looking for in each one of them. You can now pick, match to create or get what objective you want to achieve.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much. Our next question, just a minute. I think I have someone raising their hands. Blessing Chiwundu. Okay, Blessing, can you just go ahead quickly and ask your question? Blessing, can you go ahead and ask question? Okay, while that, I think she's muted. We have a question from Dr. Matthew Kunyomi. It says, how do you solve ethical issues that may arise when AI is used to pursue? Says there are but whose narrative it is? And if you understand that question, you can help us to answer it.
Yes, I got some section of that question, but help me take it again. There was
Says,
a
how do you
noise.
solve ethical issues that may arise when AI is used to pursue negativity? There are a lot of information out there that are not real, but whose narratives are being pursued like it is. That's all. I think what he's trying to say here is that, at times
Yes.
there are informations that you think they are produced by AI, which are not real, and people think they are real. How do you address those ethical issues?
Yes. Fantastic. So if you let me go back to my my slide. There was something I said about it's a guardrail. There's something I said about guardrails, and one of them is the ethical issues. I'm not able to change the slide successfully, but what that means is when it comes to issue of ethics, as much as AI has also been trained in some ethics, you cannot completely outsource ethical issues to AI. These are things that fall in the domain of natural intelligence. That does not mean that AI cannot do well, but as well, it can also help you bring to light it will list if it presents you with an ethical issue, it can present you 15 approaches, right? And you have to look at your culture, you have to look at the territory you operate in, you have to look at your enterprise environmental factor, you have to look at the specific experiences that culminated up to that point in handling that issue, because there is no one size fits all template for addressing many of the ethical issues, right? Now, there's something else in this question is there are knowledge deposits that AI uses that have been deliberately made, kept there to push a specific narrative in that question as well. Unfortunately, there's very little we can do about where AI gets its knowledge from. But because of our natural intelligence and the applicability where you want to use it, you are the one that have the authority. AI cannot come solve the situation. It's just that, unfortunately, while you were researching, you found those biases. Now, if for people who lecture others, who help other young minds to grow, this is where, as faculties, we can also shine and say, hey, this has been brought to you, but this is how you handle each of these cases. Oh, there is a geopolitical drama to this. There's a geopolitical history dimension to this case, to this situation. Then about the biases, AI, some organizations who have AI, take, for example, say Microsoft Copilot, for example, they have done a good job of making sure that their version of AI is extremely cautious about what it dishes out. Now, that can be different from Grok, for example, that is an AI that plays in a very fluid water of social media, of social interaction, and has to quickly check sources and contents from different sources, apart from what it has been trained with, but that might also end up producing something that 50-50 might be left or right. Right. So at the end of the day, everything still falls back on natural intelligence making a decision. But if it is something that is that is a rocket science, right? That is fixed, like math, like physics, like some elements of string or quantum physics. Oh, absolutely. You can probably 100%, maybe not 100%, but you can probably more than 50% rely on what it is given, but also being mindful that there are differing school of thoughts in that dimension. So identify what school of thought you belong to. What agenda are you trying to push? Is the AI giving you data that is anti your agenda, or is the AI pushing data that is pro your agenda? The other parties on the other end, whether that person is your supervising lecturer or someone you're arguing with or someone or a leader that you work with and you are subject to, might have a different, and at the end of the day, whatever the different opinions that you have on these matters, you have to come to agree to disagree on some items till better light or experiences can provide more stability.
Okay, sir. Our time is fast spent, and we have just one more question, but I want you, Dr. James, to help us to quickly answer this question. We should be running up by now. Says, thanks from Abiodun Kolakwa, thanks for the presentation, Doctor. It said, does our discussion today apply to all AI, including machine learning and deep learning, or just generative pre-trained transformers, GPT?
Okay, fantastic. Now, the asker of the asker, I said asker, the person who has asked this question, I can tell that you are more deeply entrenched in the AI world. So, for machine learning, very little you can do with that because it looks at data that is already fixed and and if there is enough of it, it can plot a trend and tell on the basis of that trend, give you an output. So that is still on the safe side, and we would call that automate, right? And then for transformers, now the thing with transformers is they need billions, millions, and billions of data to be able to arrive at what makes sense. And remember, where transformers are concerned, there is no control. Not even the developers who are responsible, who are creating the algorithm, have control over how the AI handles all of the information it has access to. But the AI also is training itself to understand the context. Especially the more context you give to it, the more it is able to understand and give you the desired output. And then the more you correct it, human corrections, which is very, very important, and which they do at the back end as well. They have people who at the transformer level who correct outputs, and then the AI becomes better at it. So those two scenarios I just mentioned are behind the curtain activities. There's a lot of governing going on, whether it is bias, whether it is in the context of a given segment of the world. There's really very little we can do about that. But on the generative AI side is where what we are discussing today applies the most, because this is at the consumption level where every Tom, Dick, Harry, Yakubu, and Adebola and Gertz in the world are consuming it. And we are in a world where young people can pretty much cause a lot of damage. And we've seen many of these damages occur in the world, disasters here and there, right? And they could have been fed that information. Then there was no AI, but who knows what other kind of societal damages AI potentially can plant in the head of anyone using it today. And that is why this prompt, in fact, it could be something that is everywhere as warnings. Use AI responsibly, be careful, don't believe everything you see, and all of that. But so it is for the generative AI side, everything that we have talked about today.
Thank you very much, Dr. James. Thank you, Ibukun Bankole. It's been a wonderful time. In fact, we still have like 3 questions. We have one from Joy Odige, from Alex, and from Brian, but I've copied the questions. I'll reach out to Dr. James to answer those questions. Once they are answered, please, Alex, Brian, and Joy, I promise you I'll send the answers to you. Our time is really, really fast spent. So with this, we come to the end of today's today's session. If we want to get in touch with our speakers or with the reflector, you can always reach out to me. We will help. We will link you up with them. I think I also have their. We could get their LinkedIn. I think I have his LinkedIn address here, but you can always reach out to me, to the to BSN ICGL, and we'll get across to them. So thank you everyone for today, and we'll look forward to having you again next week.